We'll watch it real quick. So the deck that I've built up plays Violetta, the promo, which hopefully we'll get that in English sometime soon. But the idea is to hopefully be on 10 soul relatively quickly, and then you can use her skill to counterblast one and call herself out. That way you don't have to minus yourself so much to fulfill the because I got so many thoughts rolling at the same time. Ideally you want to build up a full board every turn with Greedon. That way you have one unit that you can attack with and pass triggers to. Violetta being able to call herself from soul can help you fulfill that without using your hand while keeping your soul relatively healthy. That way you can trigger the 15 power skill on Greedon for the restand. That's the idea behind it. And then you play stuff to help get cards into your soul. Like currently I'm playing Pandemonium Tactics, which is the new card that we got for Bruce, and be able to soul charge 4 real quick, and then that way you can push through. And not push through, but fulfill soul quickly and then start abusing 10 soul related stuff. The only thing I have problem with is that the Grey 1 Ride line for Greedon is playable, and this dude, he's not playable in Bruce because to trigger the skill you need to be put into soul by Vanguard skill. So if you put it in with like Protobulb, it doesn't work because it's Protobulb doing it instead of Bruce himself. It is playable in Barrow though, if you choose to use it. Then I was playing against BBXC, testing out Hexa Orb stuff, the new Hexa Orb stuff. So easy front trigger stuff. Just take the damage. It's easier to take damage knowing that you have that shield buffer of the extra damage. I'm still trying to figure out what you call them, discards for ride deck stuff. So where were we? So I call a couple grade 2s and I start poking at rear guards. Give everything to Violetta, and then I'll go ahead and push damage here, knowing that I could get set up the Greedon in soul on my grade 3 turn to give myself the buffer. And then I don't like playing hard damage deny when I'm learning the matchups, because I want to see what they're capable of with all their damage available. So they attack. Pretty sure they kept all 3 of the cards on top, so I was worried about double crit shenanigans. So the no crits came up. Pitch the crit, ride Greedon. I resolved the grade 2 to stuff the Greedon into soul, so now I have the 3 damage buffer. Grab the copy. And now I'm at 4 damage, which means that all the extra debauches in soul gives my Vanguard power. So while this is in a break real quick, what I do end up doing, I play the Time Gyrate Dragon, put the Bosch in the soul, draw a card, and then I just play 2 cards. I think I played Gun and the Heal, because whatever I drew wasn't that impressive. So then that made me a full board with Time Gyrate in one of the front row spots to pass triggers to. And then I would have had two Bosches in soul. That way when my Greedon swings, since I'm at 4, it'd get plus 10,000 power. So there's like at least currently, there's a decent amount of filtering going on to set up your soul for what you're trying to do. Call that soul charge. Soul charge the Pandemonium. Call the crit. And then Greedon swings for 23 unboosted since I'm at 4. and the Bosch's trigger. So limit break 10k. Swole. I gave everything to Vanguard because the restand, and then the crit will carry over to the next swing. So it puts them in a predicament to guard it or not. So then they take 2. No triggers, so the gyrate hits. Persona Ride, play the Dia Glass to see what they can get some offense. Toss the stacked one on top, but tossing the order in the process. Then they activate Letty twice, so all their triggers are 20k buffs on top of the Hexa skill to make it plus 10 more. Since he only stacked 1 on top, I chose to take it. I believe. I forgot I said that, YOLO Baggins. So I take 1, and then I know I can take 6, or take the 6-1. They forgot that I had the Greedon in Soul, so they thought the game was over. So then had to break the news to them gracefully that it wasn't over, and I just used the I'm about to say G guard. Use the over trigger to protect myself. So here's what I could have done. I used tactics to get myself to 12 soul, because I recall not doing this. And then I could have played my Time Gyrate Dragon, put the Violetta into soul to draw a card, counterblast 2 to call 2 Violettas out, because I'll have 13 soul. So each one would check if I have 10 soul, which I would. And then I would be able to call both of them out to save myself 2 cards in hand and then call something else out. But I believe I didn't do it that way. I believe Pass Proof didn't do things correctly. Yep, Pass Proof goofed. So I could have had 3 cards in hand because I would have played the Gyrate, stuff Violetta in, draw a card, resolve Violetta to call it out, and have 3 cards in hand. So all about card economy and efficiency to make sure that you maximize your ability to keep cards in hand as Greedon. But they no-guarded it anyway, so no harm, no foul there. But it's important to keep those things in mind when you're playing Greedon, in my opinion, to make sure you maximize your card economy. So that was the first game. And then I have one other replay. So we got 2 Violettas. I thought it was back because I can randomly soul charge them, but then they came back anyway. Violetta loves me, apparently. So that's what I'm kind of saying about currently in Greedon, because I only played 2 games with it. I struggle with what to discard for the ride deck. In my mind, I want to keep Bosch's to try to put in the soul. I want to keep Violetta's to try to put in the soul. But then I also need to protect my... And like, do you need to worry about protecting yourself early? As long as you can get yourself a Greedon in the soul for his continuous skill? I don't know. I'm still figuring that part out. Hit the crit off rip. Do some Pentagleam stuff, do some Dia Glass stuff. I take it. I hit the defensive trigger, so it kind of shuts down these 2 columns. Big sad. Reveal the Greedon, draw a card. I drew Pandemonium Tactics, which is my tech to speed the 10 soul quickly. And then, thanks to Crimson, I random soul charged the Greedon, so I don't have to worry about it anymore. Shoutouts to Crimson. And then I take this one, knowing that I have the the 7 damage buffer. I just sacked this poor man on defensive checks. That's kind of tough when you're playing against Greedon, knowing that they have the damage to give. It's kind of laggy right now, I apologize for that. So I tossed the Pandemonium for ride deck, so I have the second one in hand. Put the Violetta in. Play Pandemonium Tactics to Soul Charge 4. So now I have 10 cards in Soul exactly. So now I can resolve a Violetta, because she checks only if you have 10 in Soul. So now play these out, so then I can stuff these into Soul later. Unfortunately, I don't have the 4 damage, but then I double crit through. And then I kind of just... Oh no, it didn't end the game there. My apologies. Oh, I did hit through. That was a 1 to pass. So I not much of a game there. I sacked the poor man out. But basically what happened, or what would have happened, is that I had 11 in Soul for the following turn. And then I could have resolved another Pandemonium Tactics to get to 15 in Soul. And then I could have called out both of the Violettas the following turn. So then I could have taken the Hexa Orb, as long as there wasn't like some triple crit shenanigans going on. Survive thanks to 7 damage buffer. Go into my next turn, see what I draw, call some things, and go through the rigmarole of what have you. So yeah, I'm still trying to figure out some things with Greedon, and of course there's more cards to be revealed, but currently this seems like a pretty okay setup in terms of using Violetta. I didn't put in Muka because the Soul Blast 2 skill is kind of hefty. Yeah, Muka. Because Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 2 to call is pretty hefty, especially when you're trying to aim for 10 Soul and staying at 10 Soul with Greedon. So for now, I'm not using it. We'll see if that changes in the future. I'll show my current Greedon deck list though. So currently, I play 11 crit, 1 overtrigger, 4 heal. Since you're resetting twice with a Vanguard, may as well. 1 ride deck, 4 gun, 4 PG. 4 Crimson for getting some Soul early, 4 Bosch to try to get into Soul to power up Greedon, 4 Violetta, which we talked about. I think Violetta is the most important card in the deck right now, so hopefully it comes over as a promo for us as well, for any other Greedon enthusiasts that are out there. And then 4 Greedon, 4 Time Gyrate Dragon, and then 4 Pandemonium Tactics for the Burst Soul Charge 4. You really don't care you can't get the Final Rush benefits from it, because the entire purpose is just to get 4 cards into Soul, and that's the best way to do so while saving space for other stuff. Especially because it doesn't care about your Soul count on the front end, because like Extraction you could play it, but you have to play it, then discard a card, and then if you happen to be at 10 Soul after that, then you can return something. So it's a lot of hoops to jump through. Versus Tactics, which is just a free Soul, well, not free, Counterblast 1, Soul Charge 4, which then you can turn into Violetta calls, which is pretty nice. Did Greedon get his double rare? This dude, Desire Devil Inkin, which I think is not a good card personally, so that's why it's not in my current deck. Because it's a lot of hoops. It's like when it's in this place on rear guard, if you Persona Road Soul Charge 1, which isn't great for Greedon because you won't always be Persona riding. There might be some, like you might randomly Soul Charge a Greedon. You may want to put it into Soul. Like if you're going second, you may want to put it into your Soul from hand through the Bosch skill or Time Gyrate Dragon, just to get yourself that damage buffer earlier. So you may not always Persona ride, but then you need to pay, you need to call out from hand so it doesn't add the Soul itself, because in my mind, you're trying to get to 10 Soul quickly. And then you need to Counterblast 2 just to give the triple drive for the second, for the restand, for a restand attack. I don't think it's worthwhile for a slot, because if you don't see it early, why play it? But you also doesn't feel like something you want to play 4 of them to try to see it, because it doesn't do a whole lot by itself. So it's awkward. It might become a 2 of in the future, depending on if there's other cuts to be made. But for now, I'm testing without it because I don't know if it's necessary or not. So yeah, that's my current Greedon testing list. I'll do some more testing of it later. Also, I'll circle back to doing some Bruce testing with the set 3 stuff.